What's going on, guys? Welcome to March's episode of Game of the Month, the show where we pick a game at random every month and we talk about it. My name's Seth.
Chevy.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome back, Josh. You haven't been on in a while. Hope everything is awesome. And yeah, we are moving into a new month, so make sure to play The Surge and Conan Exiles. That is in April, yeah? We're moving into April. Okay. Make sure to play those, but if you missed our Plus Club, make sure to go back and watch it on Call of Duty Modern Warfare and The Witness. We just did that yesterday. Also, we're moving into a new month, so we'll have to determine a new game of the month. This month we played Warhammer Inquisitor Martyr. We'll talk about that in a sec. But we're doing something that we all have decided together on. Doing something we normally don't do, but we're going to do it this time. We have someone in the community who's going through some shit right now. We're not going to go into specifics or who that is. They can do that on their own if they want to. But they're going through some stuff, so we thought it'd be kind of cool to kind of, as a community, because we obviously care about the community, wanted to pick a game that they'd be able to play with us this month. So we are collectively picking Civilization 6, Civ 6. This month in April, we will be playing that for our game of the month. So if you have that, or if you're going to pick it up, do it, and we'll talk about that at the end of April. Also, we have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us, if you do not want to watch us. Did I skip anything? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Good job, buddy.
I did it. I did it.
I did it.
You did it.
Oh, fucking, I'm just like, I don't even know what I'm talking about right now. Yeah, so, game of the month, we played Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr, which, if you didn't get a chance to play that, is a top-down ARPG Diablo-style game based in the Warhammer universe, the 40k universe. You go from level to level, killing shit, getting loot, picking perks, skills, stuff like that, and leveling up altogether. It's pretty much a loot fest. We all played it this month, and yeah, we're going to talk about impressions first. So, Josh, you haven't been on in a while, so let's start with you. What were your impressions this month?
Impressions of Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr. It was pretty refreshing for ARPGs, in my opinion, because there's such game has such good ideas that aren't seen in, I would dare say, almost any other game.
Yeah.
Any other ARPG, at least. The whole, like, how every weapon is your move set, and then being able to change your move set. Diablo had, like, you can get different kinds of potions, but in this one you can actually mod your health stem to do whatever you need it really to do.
Yeah, a couple things that are kind of different is most games traditionally you have potions, and you find health on the map and you hit that and it heals you or whatever. In this, you have what is it called, a something-ator, incalculator, something like that. I don't remember what the fuck it's called. Inoculator, yeah. And you get those, and they're also used as
The old incalculator.
I was close. It's loot like everything else, like weapons and armor, stuff like that. And when you find them, they also have certain perks to them, and you can also modify that as well to give you certain boosts when you heal. So it is quite different in that sense.
Yeah, and you can also mod them to where they don't even heal you at all.
Yeah,
they just give you combat boosts or perks. All that takes up how many charges it has, and then depending on which one you find and loot. So there's like a lot of little neat ideas like that throughout the whole game. Suppression, not being able to imbue or inflict status. What am I thinking of? Knocking people down, status
effects?
Conditions. Yeah, status effects. Not you can't imbue those. You can't inflict those on people unless they're suppressed.
Which there's multiple layers to suppression. The enemy can do to you, to them. So the game is a mix of like guns, melee weapons, and magic. So the guns actually have kind of a certain aspect to them that can help you more than just shooting and hurting people, but also knocking their suppression down so you can do more effects on them.
Yeah, and a lot of melee weapons have high suppression attacks and stuff like that, and being able to knock them down. Impressions, though, I like it. In my opinion, it's kind of a breath of fresh air to the ARPG genre, because not a whole lot of games are doing what it's doing. There's like randomized missions, but this game has like randomized campaigns, and you have like choices you can choose to make your success better, but there's also collateral damage, so that affects your end game loot and stuff like your end campaign loot. And there's so many branches and ways to go. The tarot system that gives you mods pretty much to the mission.
Yeah, there's a system where you have essentially like tarot cards, and you pick one, and when you activate it, it will modify the game, but will allow you to have better drop chances on specific types of items you might be looking for. So you might be playing the game looking for a rifle. You want to find one easier. Well, you can use a tarot card to modify the game, make it maybe more difficult, or maybe make it only certain types of enemies that show up, and you'll have a better chance of fighting those things.
And there's shitloads of ways of playing it. When I watched you play, was completely different than my melee focused character, who uses a flamethrower.
Yep.
And so it's just, the game's fun, man. It's good. I enjoy it. There's so many, like I said, again, I'm repeating ideas, that you don't see a whole lot, and it was refreshing.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, let's go with you.
Well, again, this is ARPG, which is really fun. It does it in a way that's really reminiscent of what I would expect out of a Warhammer type game, in the sense that there's a lot of really intricate, fine-tuning little details to everything in the game. And that necessarily isn't like historically accurate of most Warhammer video games in the past, but of their base like tabletop games, like there's so many fine details and rules and guides and side little things to do that it feels really well incorporated into this game. There's like perks that have little add-ons for different abilities, and then the map is just fucking-gantic.
It's big.
Like there's a map within a map within a map within a map, so there's always something new, somewhere fun to go. I played all three of the characters. I didn't play all their classes, but I played one of each, just kind of get a feel for each one, and they all feel fun and entertaining in their own ways. And I really like how the armor is actually the physical body armor is one piece, but it changes your appearance entirely. And also, in the case of, I guess, all the characters now, it changes your ultimate ability. So like you're super activatable. So like I played the big guy with the missiles on his back, but that's his basic armor class. But then there's another one he's got where he just lays down a big old turret that just shoots things. There's another one where he just has this huge jump where he just leaps right into the middle of enemies, which is really fun. But there's so much to this game. It's so deep in its gameplay and mechanics that it almost feels a little overwhelming once you start getting everything open.
Yeah, playing the game for the first time, there's a lot of systems I didn't know what the fuck was going on with them, and like you have to look it up and kind of figure it out. But once you do, it all makes sense. It's also weird because, like you were saying, a lot of the loot that you get, whether it's the weapons or armor, will dictate certain moves, and sometimes they don't. Even with like your super move or whatever, there is armor that will allow for you to later, when you unlock your that tome thing for moves, you're able to put your own thing there as well. So there is a freedom there to kind of build your character how you want, depending on what loot you have, what items you've gotten. So there is definitely a deeper aspect to the loot, more than just its stats, but what it allows you to do. So
Right.
yeah. I'll go next. So yeah, I picked this game, so obviously I liked it. And yeah, it'd be kind of weird if I fucking hated this game. I'm like, hey guys, let's play a shit game. So yeah, played it. I actually played it quite a bit this month, which was really easy because I was already kind of playing it anyway. So I was like, it's the perfect time to pick it for game of the month. I'm glad you guys picked it up and tried it as well. I really like this game because, kind of like what Josh was saying, there's something different about this as compared to other ARPGs, and they're all kind of different in their own way, but this has a really slow pace to it compared to a lot of these types of games. I mean, even Path of Exile is a slower paced ARPG, but this one feels almost slower because later in the game, that suppression really starts to play a factor, and there's a cover system in the game that at first feels completely useless. When I first started playing, I was like, it's a neat idea, but who gives a fuck? I don't want to use this. But later, sometimes you're under fire by like 20 people. And so to not just get like shredded up, you get behind cover, so you take less damage, and you can protect your suppression longer. Or if you have to run and hide behind something, it makes complete sense. So there's a lot of more methodical decisions to make in the gameplay that slows it down quite a bit. Even the combat is, unless you're like my guy and you can teleport around and hit people, there is a process to get up to people. You can increase your run speed as well, but the combat still feels like, you know, you're shooting and then you got to reload your gun, and they're doing the same thing. You know, you're waiting for your cooldowns, of course, and then the melee combat's even like pretty fucking slow. So there's a lot to pay attention to during a fight, like your health and stuff like that. Whereas like when you play a game like Diablo, it's just going and there's just shit exploding, and like health bars are just fucking flying, and sometimes your character just ragdolls out of your screen real quick because you died and you didn't even fucking see it happen. And yeah, that's one thing I really like about this game, is it just feels completely different. I also really enjoyed how deep the game is. The skill tree is very interesting because there's certain aspects of the skill tree that you unlock as you play the game, and some of it that's opened earlier on, and they're all pretty intricate. They're all individual skill trees that unlock separately for different things, like damage over time is its own skill tree, ranged is its own skill tree, like everything you can think of. Single hit, yeah, is all its own skill tree, and you unlock them accordingly as you play the game, and you can choose to interact with that one or not at all. You can fill one out or do a little bit here and a little bit there, which I think is really interesting. It's not quite as crazy as Path of Exile, because that fucking skill tree is insane, but it is probably just as intricate in some ways, and deep. Like we already talked about a little bit, the loot in the game is super intricate as well. The variety in the game is actually really good too. In the beginning of the game, it's kind of repetitive. You kind of go to like a ship, or like you go to like some fucking water planet. But I just hit, I think, level 26 or 27, and I am seeing locations I've never seen before in the game, and scenarios I've never seen. I just drove a giant fucking tank, which was really weird. You show up and there's some soldiers, and they're like, "Oh, the Inquisitor's here, fucking, he's taking control." And then you're like, at ease, and he's like, "We'll do whatever you want us to do." And he's like, "All right, let's fucking commandeer this tank." You hop in this giant tank, and you just like go through a battlefield, just unloading lasers in every direction while shooting fucking other tanks with a huge cannon and shit. And it's actually really cool. It was a cool kind of change of pace. Also, the game has a story that I think is actually pretty interesting. I'm not a huge Warhammer guy, although I'm slowly turning into one, because after Vermintide, I fucking love Vermintide. I think the world's interesting. I think the story's interesting. I think the characters are interesting. And then playing this, I think the characters are interesting. I think the world's interesting. I think it's funny how everybody is just a complete badass. Everybody just talks just a matter of fact and shit. It's a really interesting universe. There's no bullshit. There's this mission, without going too deep into it, but you find this, I was telling Josh about this a little bit. There's this like guy that you need him to do something for you, and he's like some drunk or whatever, and the whole time like you're kind of telling him like, "Oh, what are you looking for, another bottle of blah blah blah," and he talks some shit to you, and your guy's like, he's like, "You're really fucking testing my patience," and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't see anyone else fucking as like certified as me to do this." And my guy's like, "Okay, just get it done then." And fucking I was just like, no one won that. Like they're just talking shit to each other, or qualified as him to do it. But and that kind of dialogue I'm not really expecting in an ARPG like this. So it's one of the first times I'm actually sitting there listening to the story, going like, wow, this is actually really interesting. And the further you get into it too, there's a couple of times where you have to pick a moral choice to something, because Inquisitors live by a really strict code, but they also, you know, you're a person as well, so you can make decisions based off of what you're supposed to do for the Imperium versus what you want to do for yourself, and they're both gratifying typically. I've ran into two of them so far, and I think they changed the story's arc, which I really appreciate because there's some choice there. Two things I think are worth mentioning though is, as much as I appreciate that this game is actually more single player oriented than it's multiplayer oriented, the multiplayer feels like a secondary thing to it, which is kind of weird for an ARPG. And I really appreciate what they've done with the single player. When you play multiplayer, I would really suggest everybody be further along in the game and have everything unlocked in their hub before, because this game does not let you play the campaign co-op. You can play missions, random missions for days in co-op, but it does not let you play the campaign together, which kind of sucks. I appreciate what they're doing, but I think they should really open that up for campaign, because I think that would kind of take away any hurdle for people being able to enjoy the game together. So that is kind of shitty, as much as I respect their decision to do that, because the single player is good. Also, me, Chevy, and Chris played multiplayer, and they had just patched the game, and I don't know what the fuck they did.
PS4.
On PS4, yeah, we played on PS4. But we were getting crashes every other fucking level, to the point where I just like bailed because I was like, it plays just fine single player. So
it went from like, oh, maybe it's a fluke to this is a consistent thing. So
which was really shitty because otherwise it probably would have been fun, but we would make it, so far into a mission, and then one or two of us would just drop, and the other one would be there, and we were like, okay, we got to restart the whole fucking thing. So that was actually pretty shitty. So hopefully they fix that. I can't hold it against it too much because that's something that's fixable, but it did impact our gameplay, which really sucked. Other than that, though, also the graphics got worse when we played multiplayer. The game's not, it does not play on PS4 as well as it should. It plays fine on the PS4 Pro pretty much, but it has some lag issues, so it's not optimized as well as it should be for PS4. And in the multiplayer, it lowers the graphics even when you're playing with other people over the internet, because when I played single player, it looked like way fucking better, like suddenly played smoother, and I wasn't crashing at all. So there's some things they got to work on with this game, but overall I think it's really like a diamond in the rough. I think there's some really cool ideas, really a lot of fun to have with it, and if you don't mind playing RPGs by yourself, I think it's really good. But there is that option to play with people. It's just right now not playable in my opinion. So but overall I really enjoyed it. So I've been playing outside of the Division 2, which was a coincidence that came out the same month this was the game of the month. I've been playing both those quite a bit, so that's pretty much been my whole month is those two games. So Chevy. Oh, good.
Go ahead,
Sorry, I don't mean to.
No, go.
One more thing about the multiplayer too is you can actually play same couch, split screen co-op. But the problem is player 1 plays his character, and player 2 gets a leveled character to player
Predetermined
1.
level, like support character.
Yeah, and you choose one of the 9 classes.
Yeah.
Or subclasses out of the 3 main classes.
Which is a cool way to try out characters if you don't want to commit to leveling a character. That's the only perk I can see to it, outside of also like you don't want to watch your friend play the game so they can play with you.
It's just way too Fable 2 though.
But it's not beneficial, yeah. So I almost actually, when people do that, I'd almost rather them not do it at all. If you're going to do some kind of cooperative play, but you're not going to let the second person get any progression with it, it feels so empty for that person. So I'd rather them not even do that.
Well, like, and you and I brought up Binding of Isaac. It was the same thing. The second player plays a floating baby that literally doesn't do anything. Yeah, I don't think you get.
Me and you played that. I remember trying that.
I don't
with
think you get items or anything. You're just there.
Yeah, it's a very Nintendo approach to like you can control the hat.
Yeah,
So like
the stupid thing.
your kids watching you play, and they're like, "I want to play," and you're like, "Okay, you can control the hat," and they're like, "Ooh." They don't care. You can hand them a fucking unplugged-in controller, and they just.
But yeah, that was one of the only caveats.
Caveats.
To multiplayer that should be mentioned.
Yeah, it's really weird how the weakest part of this game, in my opinion, is the multiplayer.
Which is should be one of the strongest things in an ARPG.
Yeah. Well, you'd think that, but they put a lot more effort into the single player than you would expect from an ARPG. So their priorities are admirable, but the execution could have been better. And I really do think that this is one of those situations where somebody has an idea that they're really fucking like, I want my game to be this way. And I'm like, I get it, man. That's a cool idea. But the game would be better if they didn't do that. And that's the not being able to do the campaign with people. Because you could totally, most of the time in the campaign when dialogue happens, your character's running and then black bars will show up and your guy will just talk and there'll be dialogue. I don't see why you couldn't have other people who are playing with you, whoever's hosting, it's their dialogue and everybody just, their characters stop too and you just hear the same thing.
Yeah,
everybody
like
just hears
literally every other ARPG ever.
Yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't just do that. And even with the morality stuff, let the person who's hosting pick. And everybody else, when they want to play on theirs, they can just hop over to that one and they can pick. I think that'd be pretty easy. So if you're listening, I doubt you are listening, guys who make Inquisitor Martyr, you should let people play a campaign together. Just a little bit. Just let them play together. Come on, just a little bit. Just do a little bit. Just do it just a little bit. Chevy, you have opinions?
Jesus Christ.
Sure. I mean, I agree with pretty much every positive aspect you guys have said about the game. It has a lot of ideas that aren't abundant in the genre. It has setting you're not really used to in a lot of these. A lot of ARPGs are definitely meant to be fantasy setting, so it's kind of neat to see something in a sci-fi setting.
Wicked ass fucking crazy sci-fi setting.
Yeah.
Warhammer is its own thing. I don't even know if it's sci-fi. That shit's weird. There's like floating fucking cathedrals in the space.
Yeah.
It's real weird and deep, man. It's real weird. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. You're all serving the Emperor God, who's an actual
That's
person.
the humans. Just there's other ones that are weird. Just
Well, yeah, the Chaos Demons and Nurgle, and a bunch of other shit. That's the only one I know. Sorry, Chevy.
It's all right.
Sorry, Chevy.
I mean, that being said, actually, I'm not actually a fan of the Warhammer 40k stuff at all. So storyline wise, I'm kind of just skipping through it, playing the game for the game itself. Every time someone talks, I'm like, oh god, shut up. So I'm not as on board with that aspect of the game.
Oh, I love it.
But
Reminds me of 300. Everybody's just fucking. Everybody's a badass.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, you guys pretty much said everything that I could agree with. As far as the positivities, I have some nitpicks, obviously. That obviously, personally, the story aspect, I'm not a big fan of. I also, the whole time I was playing it, I kind of just wish I was playing with keyboard and mouse instead. The controller is just really not doing it for me.
It is on PC.
It is, and I would be curious to try it on there instead. And that is just really small nitpick because it's completely playable on PlayStation 4, plays just fine.
To be fair, because I picked this for Game of the Month, I picked it on PS4 because it was on sale at the time.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be a good way for people to save money if they're going to hop in and play this game.
And it was.
I have it on PC as well, and it plays as much as you would expect it to play, like an ARPG on PC. Although I do think that the way it plays on controller as opposed to other ARPGs, I like more. I just tried Path of Exile on PS4, which I need to not do because I started playing and I was like, no, I got characters on PC. I can't do this again. But even that game I don't think played as well as Inquisitor Martyr, which was interesting.
No, it plays great. The only thing I don't like about it that made me want to use a mouse instead is it has
targeting?
The targeting, exactly.
Yeah, the one thing, and I was trying to explain it when we were playing, and you might not like it, but if you use the right stick to freely look around on the camera and follow your character, whoever you're kind of looking at will be the first thing you target.
Yeah.
When you don't do that, it's kind of like...
Well, and
It's a fucking crapshoot.
Yeah, you're going to fucking hit somebody.
for sure. And I figured that out while playing.
Yeah.
I just, like I said, it works just fine. I'm not I'm not like being like, oh, that's so stupid, blah, blah. It's just, for me, I would prefer, I think, to be able to just click on a guy and be like, I'm attacking this guy, type of thing. And that's just a nitpick.
And it's
like
really
I said.
interesting, too, because when I played it on PC, I felt less inclined to use the cover system.
I can see that.
I like where the button is located and how it works with the controller better. I don't know why. But also, when I played on PC, I never wanted to move the camera. Because when I play these types of games, I never move the fucking camera.
I didn't move it on PS4 either.
Yeah, but on PS4, it benefits you to move the camera because you lock on to people better. And so I was constantly moving the camera. So it feels like almost a different game on PS4 as it does to PC.
Well, it's funny because
they just feel different.
I heard that about Diablo 3 as well, though, when they brought it over, because they have to...
I had people trying to sell me fucking Diablo 3 on PS4. They're like, there's a roll, dude. It's a different game. I'm like, okay.
Well, and I could see how it would make it feel like a different game, for sure. Because even playing 40K... there's a role as well, and
can you imagine the sorcerer dude rolling around in that fucking dress?
Is there a role?
you click down left L3, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, in what?
Certain
An
characters.
Inquisitor.
Only
L3.
Oh,
That's a
It's
roll.
only a
fuck! I
certain
didn't know
Yeah.
there was a dodge at all.
because
Me
the
and you
big
have-
guy doesn't do it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I'm not even playing the big
Big guy
guy.
doesn't
I had no
roll.
idea.
Oh, then maybe it's an assassin just thing.
It's just a lady.
Okay.
She
Oh,
rolls.
okay.
That makes sense. I was about to say, I don't
Yeah,
have
I
a
was like,
fucking
what
roll.
the fuck is going
Oh,
on?
weird, yeah. So,
I'm playing a psyker, so I fucking...
well, and then that was my other nitpick is, and it has nothing to do with the characters. My playstyle, I picked the wrong fucking character.
Yeah.
It's so boring, and it's not boring because like I'm not killing things. It's boring because I don't feel like I'm very involved when I'm playing that character.
Yeah, this... So, in case you guys didn't get to play it, there's essentially... And I forgot their names. I don't remember psyker because I play them. But There's a bigger dude. All the classes have 3 subclasses to them that you start out with a specific weapon type. Typically, it's some kind of ranged, close range, and then some kind of like magic or hybrid type class that's like a sword and a gun and a different grenade. Yeah. And you have this chick who's essentially more of like a stealth, long range sniper type character who can go invisible and stuff like that. And then psychers are kind of like magic user / melee class. Obviously, they can use guns as well, but you get where I'm coming from. And then there's a bigger guy who typically is more like a tank / like berserk type class. They can shoot missiles all over the fucking place and take a lot of damage and stuff. So, yeah, you picked the sniper chick, who I have not even touched in the game.
Yeah, well, and it's, I've tried a multitude of weapons with her at this point, and her moveset is pretty much the same with every weapon, which is why I think I found it really boring. Because you have like your normal attack, your long range heavy hit, take all your ammo or energy attack. You have your I'm just gonna spray and pray, and then the walk backwards and shoot. And that was like every single weapon had the same exact move set, which useful. Just doesn't really switch up gameplay that much when you're switching weapons, other than the sniper rifle's really slow. So I did keep an automatic weapon as my secondary, because when you get swarmed, it's nice to have. And then she has a huge focus on, like, depending on what your skin you put on changes your ultimate. Like Chris had, I think it was Chris brought up earlier. So the first one I had was like it would create clones of me, which essentially are distractions. I'm not sure if they do damage when they shoot, but they sit there and they try to shoot and stuff like that. And so it looks like a bunch of you everywhere. And then the other one I got recently just makes you invisible. So I was like, okay, this is definitely. There's not a lot of thought that has to go behind playing it, and I like being a little more involved.
Yeah.
Is really where it comes down to.
She also has one that's a matrix bubble. You just put this big bubble in the ground, and any bullets that go into it move slower. So you can kind of like walk around bullets as they come at you.
That's a neat idea, but it's not something I would necessarily... Like, when I looked at her, I knew that she wasn't my type of character, so...
Yeah, which is what I ran into. And then after playing with you guys and seeing the other two in action, I immediately was like, your guys' characters look a lot more fun.
Yeah,
So...
I've played 2 of the classes so far. One on PC more extensively, the bigger guy, which I think is fun. But on PS4, I was fucking around with the Psyker more, and I like him way more just because I haven't built similar to... This is kind of a weird reference, but in Phantasy Star Universe, I played a character who had a machine gun and a sword, and I liked being able to shoot at people and hit people when they got close. So I have a similar feeling with this dude, and being able to like teleport around and cast spells, but also being able to get in there and do melee combat and stuff. He's a really cool all around, but he's definitely more magic focused. So.
Yeah, and I honestly think that would probably been more my style.
I think you would have liked him. You can make like a staff build and stuff where you're not even using guns and shit, and cast more and stuff like that. So yeah, he's a lot more interesting in my opinion.
One thing I will say though is maybe after leveling her up, because as you unlock weapons, more options will be available. So maybe
And
towards
moves.
a little more towards end game, or a little more, because everything usually unlocks by level 20, right? All the weapons.
Yeah. Well. All that, but also all your skills will unlock by then, and you'll be able to, depending on what you're wearing, if you have higher end stuff or whatever it is, you'll be able to not use the armor's ult, but yours. You can assign whatever the fuck you want in there. So,
and I'm sure there's gonna be some variance. Like I said, I'm not trying to be like completely dismissive or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, the same way, like if you start reading a book or watching a movie, and if it doesn't just grab you, like, are you really gonna sit through the whole thing to get to the good part at that point? Most people don't.
Well, me and you discussed this a little bit at work, kind of talking about there's always some kind of class in these games that you're not really into, and like, for instance, in Diablo, I can play every single one of them. There's some ones I enjoy way more than others, but there are some that is kind of more of a slog for me. So
for sure,
it sounds like mostly just like a play style thing.
It's 100% that. And here's the other thing I want to bring to that is like MMO, ARPG, whatever. There's always gonna be that character that you kind of click with, and you finally go through the whole game with, right? And even recently, to use Borderlands as an example, I reloaded that after seeing the Borderlands 3 stuff. I could have swore I played a Siren in the first game. I didn't. I played the soldier. That was my high level character. So
Yeah, it was weird.
So obviously, even thinking about like what I would normally play in that game, I did not, because I found something that was more fun. Because I had a mid level Siren in that game. So I think what ends up usually happening is, and I'm sure people can relate, and if not, sorry, but usually
Never say sorry.
I'll find a character, I'll level it all the way through, and then I'll go back and play the other ones because I have a better understanding of the game, and maybe I have a better understanding of that person's end game, and I'm more patient to it at that point because it isn't just the entry level to the game for me at that point. It's me leveling an alt. So
Yeah.
And in another more defense of your point, when Seth and I were playing and I had to choose one of the pre-made characters, I chose like a couple of the assassin class. I just fucking
You hated them all.
Yeah, I did not. And it wasn't until I went back to the guy I'm playing as, the dude with a leap and a fucking and a great sword, that I was like, all right, yeah, I'm back into it now.
and that's what I kind of assumed. So I guess to wrap up my thoughts on the
I
game.
hope somebody likes her out there.
Well,
I haven't played her. I want to try her just to know. But
Here's
all
the
the
thing.
moves you've told me she has are not
They're
things that
boring.
I would care about. Yeah.
and they're effective, but they're boring, right?
I don't know, man. My guy turns into like a goddamn like a electric fly trap. I just go, and everyone around me just gets shocked. I can start fire tornadoes. I have a move where I can lock a laser on a dude and it just goes boom and fucking hits him and kills him and
Like I
shit.
said, when I was playing with you guys and I got to see the stuff you guys were doing, I was like, why can't I do that crap? I was higher level than Chris, and I had less stuff to look at than him. Like,
All I did was walk up with the chainsaw sword and just.
I don't have that.
That sound effect was fucking weird too, because I wouldn't even be in the same room as you guys, and fucking I hear. I'm like, why do I hear that?
There's a bath of blood coming at me the whole time too, just splattered gallons of it just gushing out of the enemies. It was like,
And that's actually what I like about this game is your moves are tied until you get the tome. Your moves are tied to your loot, or to whatever you have equipped. So like the chainsaw sword has a different basic attack than just a standard sword.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah, you're not just getting like a sword here and a sword here, but it's all the same moves, just different stats. Like they have characteristics to themselves.
Yeah, and like the chainsaw sword has a channeling move. You just hold down the button and it just does constant damage.
It's funny because
And
it
it
is very
causes
reminiscent of Phantasy Star.
bleed, and it does all sorts of stuff. And then, which of course you can't apply until their suppression's down. But like the two-handed sword has its own special thing. Each pistol is usually different. The type of pistol. The flamethrower
I
is cool.
just unlocked a new kind of pistol when I hit 20.
Yeah, and like all the melee weapons that I found are different. Like the axe is a charge move, and so I didn't really need to use the leap anymore, because the leap, when you mention getting up to people, that's the biggest problem with the melee guy.
Yeah.
Like I'm just like sitting there like slogging through fucking people. I'm like, that guy's pissing me off, but I can't get to him yet.
Well, and I think it's because they really want to mix it up where you are shooting in a firefight and then getting close and hitting people. So they're not just getting you into people as quick as possible unless you have moves to get you up in there. Because the suppression is a factor in the combat anyway. So if you're in a firefight and you get their suppression down, then get up in their face and kill them faster. I think they're just trying to put more steps in the combat than just running up and fucking mashing a button. Because when we were playing too, there was like some enemies we were fighting that we were doing almost no damage to, and then I pull a laser gun out and fucking start shooting them and start eating them away. So the game's really like trying to make you pay attention to everything you're fucking doing.
Well, and that's something I had to do with my character. Is my sniper rifle is a laser weapon, and my machine gun is ballistic.
Yeah.
So, and I just switch as needed in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was talking to Seth about this earlier. Did any of you see the executions on the larger units? Am I making this up? Like,
I think so.
So, like, no, like in
I
a
know it's a
mission, I had to
thing.
fight a guy in a mech, pretty much like a AT-AT, not an AT-AT.
ATST.
Yeah, the chicken leg walker.
Yeah. Chicken leg walker.
Yeah, I had to fight a guy in that, and I killed him, and the mech fell, and my guy climbed on top of it, ripped him out, and ripped him apart.
Yeah, that never happened.
And then, like, I fought a Chaos Space Marine. And when I killed him, I climbed up on top of him and just yanked his head off.
I know executions are a thing because there's a talent tree for them, but
Yeah, well, I kill everybody from a distance anyway, though, so I never get an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, so maybe they had to be killed by a melee attack or something.
Yeah,
like that.
because I'm typically like either shooting my wand at someone and hitting with fucking fire tornadoes, or I'm using a machine gun on them and slicing up little dudes that are getting close to me. So I'm never like climbing on top of people and pulling their heads off.
Yeah, it was.
And your guy's not even small either. So how the fuck's he climbing onto people? That's scary.
Well, those mechs are not small. Yeah.
Everybody in Warhammer 40k is on steroids. There are steroids that are on steroids.
Well, I don't know if they're on them. Their suits are just gigantic.
Well,
It's almost like StarCraft.
I think they're bred to be like that.
Yeah.
The Space Marines are.
Yeah.
They're genetically engineered to be huge behemoths of people.
To Master Chief.
They're walking tanks, yeah.
I think they
They're
were whooping
huge,
Matt
man. They're
Chief's ass.
gigantic.
Yeah, because you're right. Everybody in that whole universe is like, I'm here to do a few things, and for Space Marines, it's I'm here to kill other things that aren't part of the fucking Imperium.
Yeah, no, they just kill shit, and the Inquisitors are information gatherers and shit. The people who are essentially glorified detectives, only in Warhammer, so they're fucking, gnarly. There's a part where my guy was talking about how, like, he's gonna figure this shit out if he has to fucking. He's like, I'm an Inquisitor, I'm gonna find this out, even if I have to fucking like completely decimate everything in my path. I'm just like, god damn.
Yeah, it is kind of weird to play a character that has such like a fervor like that.
Yeah,
because not a whole lot of games do that.
Yeah, he's not sitting there going like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. He's like, oh, it's gonna get done.
Yeah,
I'm like,
or
fucking,
I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
doing it. Yeah.
Even when you're using your spells too much and your warp heat builds up, and in Warhammer 40k, fucking, you start almost like conjuring things from some other fucking dimension into this dimension, and they'll either start killing you or killing other people and shit. But the more, and it's funny too because it's almost a punishment, but also there's skills to benefit you if your warp heat's all the way up. So if you're playing more chaotically, there's skills to make that beneficial to you. So you're just adding more enemies to yourself, but you're also getting benefits from that. But it's funny because the Psyker in his dialogue, when he starts like doing like too much shit and starts bringing stuff to him, he's like talking about like death is a journey and shit like that. I'm like, he's just like embracing death, like fucking doing all these spells for the Imperium and shit. I'm just like, this is fucking bizarre, but it's interesting because you don't really see that in anything really. So it's an interesting universe. Anything else we want to say on our impressions? Did you finish?
Well, I was just going to finish with saying that what I think they've done is make a really good groundwork and have some really good ideas. And if they are to make a sequel, they can really, as long as they don't screw it up, can really make, I think, a very, very impressive game at that point. Mm-hmm. So,
is what's the new Warhammer ARPG?
Oh, shit. Fuck. What's that called? Chaos Bane.
Yeah.
I'm stoked for it.
Is Chaos Bane made by the same people?
I don't know.
Games Workshop seems to just be like, you want a license to use this?
Yeah.
Here you go. And it's almost to any developer who fucking
Well, it's weird,
wants
too, because the whole spectrum of Warhammer games is such a varied spectrum of quality. Because the Vermintide games, I would say, are the best made Warhammer games. They're top notch. They play great. They look great. They play exactly how they should play. There's no chintzy aspects to them. They just work. And in fact, I think they took that genre and they're like, this is ours now. Fucking catch up, Left 4 Dead, and it never will. So good on them. Vermintide's fucking awesome. And then this game's got some jank to it, but it also has some really solid ideas to it. And I think it plays pretty decently compared to some other games. I bought that first-person game. Forgot what it's called.
It has a really weird name, too.
Yeah, they all got weird names. Inquisitor Martyr is not a fucking not weird name.
Does not roll off the
but it
tongue.
makes complete sense when you play the game because you're an Inquisitor and you're looking for the Martyr. But in that game, it's got really cool fucking ideas, and the premise is really cool. The graphics are not great. I can look past that. That game straight up fucking crashed multiple times while I was in the middle of playing it, which seems to be a fucking thing with these guys, if it's the same guys working on it. But it was a it's a first-person shooter. It's like a squad-based first-person shooter that's cooperative, and it's in the same universe, but you're playing as the Space Marines pretty much. And you're going through all these ships that are designed for people much smaller than you. So you're looking at these small little ladders and shit. And you're just walking through murdering groups of people. And it's a really cool premise. It's really neat. And I like that there's co-op. And it's got like magic and skills and shit like that you can equip. So there's a lot to it. And at any time in combat, you can teleport back to your ship and rechange your fucking configurations and stuff and heal and then come back. But that game is janky. Like it is not made well. But I got to give them credit because those guys were like, no one has a game like this. Let's make one. And they did it. And I hope they make a second one, kind of like what Sherry's saying, and nail it. Because these guys are making games that other people aren't making. But they don't got the budgets that they really need. I would love to see pretty much the Vermintide treatment to any of these games that they're working on. And Chaos Bane looks like it's going to be high quality. It reminds me a lot of Inquisitor Martyr, but it looks cleaner and more streamlined, which is what they need to do. But keep those fucking deep systems, because that's the thing that my favorite part about Inquisitor Martyr is that it's story driven and it's actually really interesting. But the deeper aspects, I can actually sit there and think about all these little factors to make my character. There's a lot of game there. What do you say?
I was going to ask if that game is fantasy or 40K.
It's the fantasy.
Yeah, it's just Warhammer.
Warhammer, yeah. A lot of people are saying it looks like Diablo, but anybody's going to say it because it looks like dark fantasy.
I'll say I prefer their fantasy setting anyway, so that would probably be more up my alley.
I would say Total War is up there with...
Oh, yeah, but that's hard for me to... I mean, it's technically a Warhammer game, but the Total War series is made by the guys who make the Total War games.
Yeah, it's almost,
Sega property.
like a advanced mod.
Yeah, they skin Total War as Warhammer, and I'd actually be kind of interested in checking that out at this point because I'm more and more wanting to see more of this. But yeah, all the games that are less profile, lower profile, they very much vary in quality. So much, it's insane. There is no standard to Warhammer games. They're just fucking, it's random. You like that first person shooter, like it is chintzy looking.
Yeah,
but it's neat. I see quality in it. But it's real. I think most people look at that game and go, "Fuck that."
Yeah, I think Warhammer, the property's in such a weird spot because I mean, Fat Shark did some shit with Vermintide, but like, I think Games Workshop wants to get the game out there, but a lot of bigger companies are like, we don't want to spend money on that because there might not be money to be made.
Because Warhammer's such a niche.
Yeah,
it's not that big sellable product that
yeah.
it
then
could
these
be.
Little companies are like, yeah, we'll see what we can do with it, you know,
Yeah.
and that's how we end up with this. Jank Menagerie.
Sounds like someone's name. I'm Jank Menagerie.
That's my
Like a drag queen name.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems like there's a lot of layers to the game, a lot to talk about. We've been talking for like 40 fucking minutes about this. Anything else you guys want to say on your impressions?
Don't let it overwhelm you if you decide to play it.
Google.
Google
some shit.
like we had to look up what the suppression system was because I thought it was your fucking health, and
Yeah,
it's
it's
like,
confusing.
nah, that's not it. And I was like,
That's how I sound
okay.
too.
And then
Nah, that's not it.
Nah.
And then,
Shut up.
always go through all your loot because it seems like some loot that's lower tier is always better. Like that game really, its tier system always seems a little wonky. Like I'll stick with like some purple items, but then I'll get like a green.
It's really build heavy.
Yeah.
You look at the stuff, and even if it's lower, it might have stuff that you're looking for more so. So it's kind of, it is kind of up in the air for sure. Also, another thing too for anybody who might be hopping into this game, the way loot is designed is not like most ARPGs. It's more based. This game's based off levels. So you start a level, you complete the level. At the end of the level, you accrue based off of multipliers of what you killed and what you did and completing the level with this amount of lives or whatever. You get experience based off that, and you get your loot at the end. So think of it as beating levels to get your rewards.
Yeah,
you do find some chests every once in a while, and when I played in single player, I was finding them all the time. When we played, I didn't find any. It was weird. The multiplayer needs work for sure. I'm not even gonna fucking sugarcoat that. But yeah, you accrue all that at the end of the levels. So think of it more so as like a level based single player game almost.
Yeah, akin. You get the loot at the end like Vermintide. You get like a chest.
Yeah.
And then it usually has like 6 or 8 pieces of loot. So if you're like if you're getting like 2 pieces of loot around, at the end of the level, that's when you get your haul. So
Yeah.
Unless you just end up wrecking a bunch of elites or something like that,
Yeah.
which are fucking scary too, like the Chaos Queen you faced.
And that weird flashing. I'm pretty sure I just dropped a grenade out of my belt while I was running. I just ran past the crowd because there was some fucking queen alien thing. Just pissed, and I had like no health. I was looking for fucking med kits. I ran past it. As I'm running down a hallway, I run into guys. I start fucking shooting at them, and behind me there's just flashing going, and I can see my shadow projected on the wall and a bunch of fucking shit behind me. Just their silhouettes on the wall flashing bright. And I was like, what the fuck? And I just like started shooting and ran through and found those med kits. Later, I threw one of my grenades and it started doing that flashing. So I'm like,
You just tap too deep into the ether. You're having a seizure.
dude, I was already stressed out. And then the whole room starts fucking flashing. And I see all the enemies behind me without seeing them on my screen. I was like, this is horrifying imagery.
Scene in Gremlins where they're behind the fucking
Pretty
the
much.
screen, the
Yeah.
projector's going. Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam,
That's that scene in
bam,
Left
bam,
4
bam.
Dead where like on the parking garage wall, they just see, 28 days later, they just see all the fucking...
Pretty much, yeah, except for it's just flashes. I was like, oh, God. It's just weird because it's my grenade and I never threw it. So I think I was fucking running. It just fell out of my belt and fucking went...
Shimmying too hard down.
No, that was his
big
oh
suit.
shit button when his health got too low.
He's looking for his med
Defense
kit and he fucking
mechanism.
fumbled it out. I was like that one guy I ran up to and he's like reaching into his pocket and I fucking just...
He was trying to
Wait,
get his...
was that game or The Division? I don't remember.
I think that was Warhammer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I played both today, and one of them, I like ran up to an enemy, and he's like looking at me. And I pulled a gun, I started shooting at him. He like reached in his pocket, started fumbling around. I'm like, what are you fucking grabbing at?
Show you his 38 special out and fucking X you.
Has it in his pocket. I'm just gonna stuff my. They're like, Jeff, dude, don't put your pistol in your pocket. I'm gonna put my pistol in my pocket. Don't do it. It's more practical. No, it's not. How you gonna fucking pull it? I'll be fine. And then 5 seconds later, turns out there's a guy with a gun. He's like, oh shit, I can't get it out.
This is my moment. Shit.
They were right. I was that guy. All right, anything else? Let's get into recommendations. I'm going to do a real easy one. If you're a Warhammer fan, you've probably played this. If you haven't, I would suggest playing it. I think it's one of the better Warhammer games. It's not Vermintide, but it's pretty good. If you like ARPGs, I think this is definitely a must check out. I don't know if you're going to love it because it's definitely unorthodox in a lot of the systems that you would expect in ARPG, but if you're open-minded, check it out. If you like story-driven games, single-player games, this game really emphasizes single-player way more than multiplayer, to its own detriment, in my opinion. But I'm okay with it. And there is multiplayer, but just not the campaign. But if you like, if you want to play an RPG with a single player oriented campaign that's actually interesting with choices, moral choices, all that kind of shit, definitely check it out. Yeah, if you like deeper RPGs, maybe check it out too. Like I said, it's really single player oriented, so you could probably play this by yourself and enjoy it. Having a game where you get choices and leveling up and skill tree, stuff like that. Not just as an ARPG, but just an RPG in general. Yeah, feel free to throw things in there.
If you like looking at the map and as it's zooming out, going, "What the fuck?" Because it's huge.
Yeah.
This game's for you.
Like
It's
the universe map.
Yeah, like literally
Yeah.
starts out with the planet, then goes the solar system, then goes the cluster, then goes the galaxy, and then it goes.
I really wish
further
that was
back,
optional, personally.
further back more. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, at first I'm like, I hope this game has a lot to offer. And I zoomed out, I was like, oh, okay, there's a lot of shit here.
Yeah.
Like, too much. So, yeah, so a lot of content.
I have to say this is probably the best 40K game, not Warhammer in general, but
Yeah, I agree.
probably the best 40K game out there.
Yeah. I haven't played fucking the other one you mentioned earlier. Total War, yeah. But I'm not a huge Total War guy, so I'd
War
still
isn't
probably...
40K though.
It's not?
It's just Warhammer.
Oh, I thought they had a 40K one.
Maybe they might.
Huh.
I don't know.
Regardless. I agree, though, in my opinion as well. I think it's the better one.
Deep systems. Oh, I mean, and for like 40K fans, this game does not hold your hand when they're talking about the lore.
No.
They just expect you to know it.
It's definitely for the fans, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like, well, that's what this.
Because I'm listening to them, I'm like, this sounds really interesting. I need to look it up.
Yeah, I have no idea what a servitor is and those fucking weird floating heads in the walls and shit.
Which were in that fucking Space Hulk. That's the name of that
Space
first
Hulk.
person shooter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In that fucking in that game, like as soon as I dropped on the ship, the servitors just start floating off, looking around and shit. I was like, this is interesting to see from this perspective, because Inquisitor Martyr, you're not part of that team. So you're just kind of showing up and finding those guys and talking to them. So it almost felt like those games kind of exist together. So it's kind of interesting. Any suggestions, recommendations?
I can't think of anything to add to that, to be honest.
Yeah. It is definitely specific. It's not for everybody.
If you like grim sci-fi, I think this is good for you.
Yeah, no,
Very
that's
visceral, grim sci-fi games.
yeah, darker sci-fi stuff. Like if you like Alien and stuff like that, like that darker.
Because even being on your own, like Imperial ships are very dark and grim and broody feeling.
And there's straight up ships that look like cathedrals in space. It's really eerie looking. I love it. I love that macabre shit. But it's really weird to see a ship that's built vertically, having like cathedral towers and like lights and shit that just flying in space. Like if you saw that in real life, you'd be like, "What the fuck? Why'd you build that? Make something more aerodynamic." Well, I guess it doesn't matter.
Doesn't
in space,
matter up there.
Yeah, then yeah, and like the floor in your hub is filled with skulls. There's just skulls.
There's a lot of skulls in that
wandering,
game.
Like,
Yep.
yeah,
Death is
it's
just
dark.
the beginning.
And a dude with a fucking face tattoo that says Redemptio or Redemptia.
Uh-huh.
I'm just like, what are you fucking Lil Xan?
He's the new fucking mumble rapper
I was gonna
breaking
say
out
that
on the scene.
Xan gonna make it. Xan gonna break it.
Boondock Saints 40K.
Yeah, no, that's a good one though. Anything else?
No.
All right, let's grade it. Chevy.
I mean, just kind of reiterate what I said earlier. I think there's a great foundation here, and I think it's great, a bunch of great ideas. I have personal issues with the game, obviously, but I'm not gonna weigh too heavy on that stuff because that's obviously me and not everyone else. So I have to go with B minus. There's a lot of decent ideas in the game. I just personally thinking about playing an ARPG, it probably wouldn't be the first thing I think of personally, but it is a good game. So.
Got dog hair. Dang me. So B minus. Chris, let's go with you.
Well, I think graphically it could have done better, stronger, graphics-wise.
We can all be better, Chris.
True.
Okay.
Graphically.
We can.
But graphically it could have done
I could use some more polygons.
I can be graphically better.
I could. And then the multiplayer glitching, it does play a factor into my grading because, you know, it is a big thing for ARPGs is multiplayer. It's a big focus for a lot of people. But that being said, it's still a really strong game, and I'm gonna be like just like Chevy, go B minus. If you up the graphics on it and made the multiplayer a little more solid, I might give you a B plus, maybe. But B minus.
Maybe you'll get that B plus. Yeah, and it really sucks too because that patch literally came out like right before we started playing, and I don't know if that's the reason it happened, but there's a good chance that if they had just updated because there was problems with something, and now we're experiencing that, which is a pretty big fucking problem if you're trying to play online, and it wasn't just one of us disconnecting; it was all of us. We all got a turn.
Yeah.
We all got to fucking get kicked.
At one point, multiple of us got a
It
turn.
was a chain reaction.
There's one time Chris is running up ahead, and he's just like, this guy ran up, pulled his flamethrower up, went, and as soon as the fire left his gun, Chris is like, oh, and fucking, his guy's just going, and we're like, what? And he's like, I got disconnected, and his guy's just sitting there, blowing fire everywhere. I was like, okay.
At least it became a useful sentry turret.
Yeah, he just kept going. I'm like, at least the game fucking made him useful. Yeah, so 2 B minuses, and I agree. That it was just really bad timing for that problem to be happening, because I would have really liked to have seen that game and how it played without the problems, because that was a huge fucking issue. I literally had to bail. I was like, I can't do this. I'm not going to sit here all night and fucking just crash constantly. I want to play this game, so 2 B minuses. I'll go next. I'm going to give it a B plus. I did think about docking it a bit. I can't give this game an A because it's just not streamlined enough to be an A in my opinion. It does have weaknesses that I think can deter most people. I look past them just because I'm stubborn. I can play this game on my own. I would love to play it with people, obviously, but I have been very much enjoying the single player. So B plus, easy for me. I really like the deeper systems. I really like the universe. This game really talks to me, like in most ways. It does have problems, but it doesn't affect my overall opinion really, because that would have been a good thing to have experience with you guys and play it with you guys. And it was fun for like the 5 seconds we did do it. But I did enjoy myself quite a bit just playing by myself as well. So, and I still want to play it. I was just playing it before we start filming. So, and the Division 2, I've been playing that too much too. So, way too much loot in my life right now. So yeah, B+. Josh.
I'm gonna give it the lowest of A minuses that I can give it. To be honest, I never experienced any of that those multiplayer issues. The only multiplayer I played was with you, and I had a good time doing it.
Yeah.
Other than that, not a whole lot. Like that game constantly made me say, as I'm unlocking stuff and going through the skill trees, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Mm-hmm. And I said that way more with this game than a lot of ARPGs.
I felt the same way, yeah. Constantly, like, anytime something kind of unlocked, I was like, oh, it's cool. Oh, it's cool. Mm-hmm. It's cool. That's a good point.
You know, and there's not a whole lot of ARPGs that do that anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, kill stuff, get loot.
You're used to it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way they play.
But this game kind of injected a real sense of ideas into the genre. So for that, I have to give it an A-.
Yeah. No, it's fair. I wanted to go there. It's just very, very hard for me. Just, I guess, especially because of what we experienced. You didn't get to experience that. So, which was actually really hard to see, because I was like, oh man, that's not good. That's like unplayable. But yeah, I agree with you. There's so many things here that they're doing that other games aren't doing in the same genre that makes it feel really fresh, and it's hard to overlook that in the sense of like they are trying new things, and a lot of things they do try are really good. So yeah, I can back that.
Plus the randomized campaigns are really cool.
There's a lot of playability after you beat that campaign. That's not just replaying the show you already played. It's, you know, randomizing things, adding modifiers to the game, and I mean, there's 99 levels in this game. I'm level 26 or 27 right now, and it's taken a fucking while. I think I got like close to like 20 hours into this game. So it's going to take a while to get to 99. And I will be playing it, you know, beyond this month. I was playing it before, so.
And there's 99 levels per subclass.
Yeah.
So.
Which is fucking crazy.
One.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So B-, B+, B+, and A-, all pretty high scores. Anything else?
No.
Let us know in the comments. Have you played Warhammer 40k Inquisitor Martyr? The last time I'm going to fucking say that word. What'd you think of it? If you haven't played it, why haven't you played it? Are you into Warhammer at all? I don't really talk to a whole lot of people who actually are into it, but apparently there's enough people into it because they keep making the fucking games, and the board game, tabletop game, has existed for fucking ever.
Board game.
Yeah, whatever the fuck it is.
Tabletop game.
I don't play it, motherfucker.
I don't either.
I just know it's expensive to play it. Yeah, why have you played it? Why have you not played it? What do you think of it? What do you think of it from what we've talked about? Let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Inquisitor Martyr. That's going to do it for this episode of Game of the Month. Quick reminder that we will be playing Civilization 6 next month, so make sure to play that with us. That's going to be a game that we got to fucking like schedule a day and play it for the whole fucking day, because Civ lasts forever. It's like playing Monopoly.
Fucking A.
As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Gaming. Check us out on Twitch at Tasty Senpai, all one word. That's me. Tasty_fruit. That's Chris. Do you stream at all?
No.
I never know. And yeah, make sure to hit the notification button. Know when we go live. We are on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And we have a Discord link down below. Talk to us anytime, all the time. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Chris.
Until next week, where we're only going to be doing 2 fucking episodes. Have a good weekend, guys, and take it easy.
For the Emperor!
For the Imperium! That was scary.
For the Imperium!